That's a very comeback. Let's see why you're right.
The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away, so does the government.
Yep.
Plan will be packaged down by 3-ish.
3-ish? Okay. That works. Larry, on here an emergency, so Larry, yep.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Larry. Hey. I don't want to catch you off guard on that. Yeah. That hasn't really changed. Tell us. Good. Oh, okay.
Is it charged, Kurt?
But the point is that.
Kurt.
Maybe if you go through crap today, I don't have to say hi.
Because I was walking up here and I'm like, I don't know if mine's plugged in.
I'll maybe get this back to you.
That would be a good idea. All right.
Maybe. But that's a valid point. Yeah.
Very unusual. When they put that guard, I was done. Well, have you seen this? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Have you seen that guard pack?
Oh, which is, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah. Talking about the guy that does the road.
Yeah, Kerwin, I made copies for them of the 2019 and the March letter.
I wonder.
Okay. I didn't link it though, because I didn't have your permission, but.
I wonder if there's a action directly.
Okay.
Below you. And if it's got a vibration.
Yeah, I printed them out. Yep. Yeah, so it's the March 19 letter and the March 2022 letter, and that's it. Yep.
I'm sure that still effect, but I just wanted to make sure someone else could see it. Yeah. Yeah. To adjourn, man.
Starts taking.
Yeah.
Excuse me for having common sense or thinking.
Yeah, he's in Ankeny for a meeting.
So I could say anything and say no to tonight.
You're like me over there.
You're kind of in the nosebleed section, aren't you?
Yeah, there you go.
You can move over here.
I can't say no to this. I don't like it. I started to say with reservation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it is 4:30. I'd like to begin. Thank you for coming today. So I'd like to begin by standing for a moment of silence, and then we will say the Pledge of Allegiance together. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have roll call, please.
Tom Eggers,
Aye.
Wayne Marahona, Pete Hamill,
Here.
Ken Snyder,
Here.
Brad Hint,
Here.
All right, next item is approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion for that.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Now move into the public forum portion of our meeting. Anyone that would like to address the council at this time? If so, step forward and state your name for the record, and we will give you 4 minutes. Thanks, Kerwin.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I'm here to bring the in water diversity or disparity to light. It's of the 1 meter usage between manufacturing businesses in Sheldon and the residential business, such as ours, to light. Anyway, I do not think many on the council realize the large gap in how much is paid between the two. I did a comparison on the 84,000 gallons of water, which is a typical amount of water usage per month for our tenants at the park, and a fictitious company X using the same 84,000 gallons, okay? And Sam, I think, was gracious enough to give you some copies of that. Over a 1-year period, we would pay approximately $7,000 more for the same amount of water and sewer as the business, Company X. I know that we are not the only landlords in town in this quandary with just 1 meter for multiple units. We would like to find a compromise with the city for maybe part of the fees or some kind of an adjustment anyway, as the city is not responsible for maintaining multiple meters or collecting multiple bills. I also would like to thank, I met with Sam, Todd, and Brad in a previous meeting on this subject, and hopefully we can continue to work together to find a solution to this issue. So I guess my purpose here is to, I don't know if you've studied it all, but if there is any questions on that, we could gladly answer them. But obviously, I know in the original deal they had talked about equitable billings so that everybody shares the fair share of the load for, be it wastewater and so forth. But the fees is what we're here to, we're having an issue with. So that's all I have.
Very good. I think we'll save the discussion back for 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks we've got, there's a draft that's in the works, and
Okay.
hopefully it'll be addressed to your satisfaction in ours at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's correct. We do a first reading later on as well, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kerwin. All right, moving on then to the consent agenda. One thing that I want to point out is item H, the resolution approving the golf course usage agreement. There was it has been fixed. I don't know if any of you caught it. There was a discrepancy in the agreement and in the resolution. $7,000 in the agreement is the correct figure, not $5,000 like the resolution had stated. And that has been cleared up, so, but just so you're aware of it. With that, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Comments or discussion? Roll call, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
All right, moving on then to item 6A, consider request for a vintage bike parade. Greg, you're here. Do you want to address the council at this time?
Yeah.
Please, step up to the mic, state your name, and
Greg DeYoung, I think most of you know me. How many of you read the letter of request that I sent in? to. Hey, I guess I didn't realize it was going to get to the city council, but just a brief vision statement on it. I grew up in this town. I think I was probably 5 when I started walking the downtown streets with my father, and seeing the vibrant retail community. I used to pack catalogs and unload freight, deliver washers, dryers, so I've seen how the Main Street business has changed and evolved over the years. So this really doesn't have a lot to do with it, but I think it's neat to get things going in our cities, and activities, attractions, I think are maybe what we're aiming towards. If you look at how the communities around the areas have changed, it's become more of destinations for activities and so forth. So it's not a big deal, but there's a lot of guys in the area who have gotten into things like cars, vintage cars, and motorcycles is another thing. And I think it may surprise you who is involved in this type of thing. A lot of your local businessmen are involved, your industry leaders. Examples would be individuals like David Monin, Mark Gertler, Bob Horseman, President Demko, the Maggart boys. There's various people who are very excited about this type of thing. A lot of these bikes just sit back in garages and they never get exposed. They don't get brought to car shows. And it was just an idea that a bunch of guys brought up one night, and we thought it'd be kind of cool to do some sort of activity. A lot of these bikes are not street legal. I don't know how many, most probably are, but there's many that will not be. So we're just asking for an evening to maybe get these bikes out for the public to enjoy. They would be ultimately displayed probably at a place like Langer's for maybe an hour, hour and a half. We would maybe advertise in the paper for the public that they could come out and see these, just like cruise night, for instance. But we would have to get these bikes to that, and we thought we'd make some sort of a little ride through. So originally we were hoping to start at my place, and there was an issue with crossing the highway. So I talked to Dave and Wyke about using his lot as maybe just an unloading area for the unlicensed bikes, so we could begin there. So basically, in short, the route would be down Country Club Road, around by the Pavilion, the new area there, down 11th, and we're trying to get Mike Allers to just create a tour of his garage. He's got a lot of neat vintage bikes and so forth. Just a stop that would add to the ride for the as an attraction. So we're thinking that part would probably take about 15 minutes of travel, maybe 30 minutes allowance to tour his if he okays this. Then we thought it'd be neat just to say, hey, cruise the loop for 10 minutes like we did back in the day. And then we'd end up at Langer's for the display about 7, and then before dark we would hope to end up maybe past the high school and back to Van Wyck's and load up there. And obviously I don't think we have any control over the street legal bikes, how they want to get back and forth and so forth. So we're just asking for the support of the city to do something like this, and I think it would be a neat attraction. If we could get the word out, I think you might see the public sit along the road in lawn chairs or go uptown and see it and then walk over and so forth. So it's just a neat thing that a lot of us are excited to do. So any questions?
Do you have any kind of feeling for numbers?
Well, I haven't done any kind of promotion, just visiting with, the circle of people, and everybody's like totally thrilled. 15, 20 guys so far that have just said, yeah.
Oh, good.
So I guess what we're hoping to do is create a flyer with a paper that we can use for an ad later, and then hand these out maybe at some car cruises and just get the word out through Facebook and things like that. I don't know. I think it could be very, a good turnout for it. So
Good.
I would expect 50 bikes.
Thanks for your effort.
So, that.
All right. Say something?
I was simply going to say that all 4 of our emergency services departments have reviewed this and didn't have any concerns. I also understand that escorts or traffic control is not being requested.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't foresee it being, it's going to be guys like me and over generally probably that show up for these things. The younger generation don't even know what they are. They don't have, they never grew up on them. So
The motion to approve.
All right. So if you are in favor of this, then somebody want to make a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve the parade route.
I'll support it.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye. Thanks, Greg, for putting this together, and whoever else is involved.
Thanks for bringing me to the realization that I'm vintage. Thanks. I know.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, moving on. We have a health insurance renewal update, and Tom could not be with us, so Larry Smith's stepping in, take his place.
Some Perspective Insurance. Thank you for the invitation. Our City of Health Renewal, kind of just run through that here with you. So currently, the renewal is July 1. You can see the deductible on the single plan is $7,000 and it's $14. From last year, it indexed up from 6 to 7 and from 30 to 14. As you see, the renewal rates, of course, are up a little bit as all health plans are in our society. So as we go down here and we look at the figures here, the city currently is contributing to the employees' HSA accounts, and for the single they're contributing the $3,550, and for the family they're contributing $7,100. The numbers we use there for singles and 25 is based off of the enrollment or the census as of April 1st of this year. Of course, that can change a little bit depending on renewal employees come off or go on. Part of the plan is a buy down. Okay, if we drop down to that box there, current Wellmark coverage, employee buying down, the city is buying the plan down to a $4,500 for individual and a $9,000 deductible for families. Okay, and then if we look and say, okay, so the employee's exposure is $4,500 or $9,000. The contributions into the HSA, we take that off from there. The net out-of-pocket to the employee is $950 for an individual or $1,900 for a family. Really, really good health plan for the employees. Now, when we compare those costs over on the right there, and we look at the total, obviously the employees have some cost sharing that would come off there. That next box down shows what claims were paid from the city between that $4,500 and that $6,900 last year, of course $7,000 this year. Our prior year, the city incurred $45,000 costs there. That's the employees that go over that $4,500 or over that $9,000. And good news is in the current year, claims are down, saving the city some money. It's down to $32,000 there. As we go down here and look at what are other options to the city, and we look at the other plans that Wellmark offers, we can see higher deductibles, higher maximum out-of-pockets that would be optional. We compare those costs, I think we can see that the current plan that the city is on is a great deal for the employees, great deal for the city. And below we put down the benefits of the HSA to the employees. If they use that account or they don't use that account, it's definitely a huge benefit to them. And ways to keep the cost down for employees, of course, and keep it down for the city, for taxpayers. Employees, of course, are using their own money now when they use their money out of their HSA to go to the doctor, buy prescriptions. So utilization of going to a doctor and spending their own money versus spending, the insurance company's money, they tend to think about it before using their own money to go to the doctor quite as quick. The other thing is if they start using and asking for generic drugs when the doctor prescribes something or when they go to the pharmacy, that can help keep their costs down to them and also help keep the cost down for future costs to the health plan. So
I think if we analyze this thing, we can see this is a win-win deal. This is a win for the city in the overall costs compared to other plants, and we can see that it's a definite win for employees and also to incoming employees and for future. So, any questions?
Not from me, Larry.
Again, on behalf of Prospective Insurance, we appreciate your business and thank you for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate your service.
We could just have a motion to proceed with the renewal.
Okay. I don't know if you heard that, Sam. Sam said it'd be nice to have a motion here to proceed with the renewal.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Further discussion? And then roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye. All right, let's move on then to the first reading of the ordinance amending sewer rates effective July 1 of 2022. Projecting a 4% increase for the fiscal year 22-23 of our budget workshop discussion. Anything you'd like to add?
I would, and Todd, you can help me out with this, but as Todd and Angie and I were putting this together, we discussed a recommendation. We felt it would be appropriate to not, in light of the feedback that we've received, to not add an additional 4% increase to the apartment trailer home sewer rate charge. And we do recommend that that issue be studied in conjunction with the new rate study, which would probably be sometime after July 1 of next year. Do you have anything to add to that?
So that's just a step, really, it's not the final resolution in terms of what Kerwin was asking for. Is that correct?
It's a recognizing that his concern is legitimate, yet the solution, the solution isn't easy. I mean, we're in this situation partly because we had to build a very expensive wastewater treatment plant, and if you reduce rates in one area, it affects rates in the other, because you have plant to pay for and revenue bonds to pay for. So it's certainly something that needs to be looked at. The answer, Todd, help me out here. I don't know that the answer is necessarily just a straight reduction. There would probably be potentially a reduction in one area, increase in the rate, for example. But if you want to address that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't obviously have all the answers until we look at a rate study, but you know in the current water ordinance, we're looking at getting rid of the declining block rate structure in the water ordinance. So that is equalizing the rate that the small user and the high user pay. We want to get that out. You know, what Kerwin's referencing is places where there's an individual meter and then they pay an individual apartment charge. One way that I think we could help equalize that is then to start charging everybody a water and sewer minimum based upon the meter size that they have. But to do that right now, we're in the middle of the rate equalization on the water side, seems a little quick. I would rather take the time when we do the joint study, get it right, make sure we got the revenues fixed on one side, now let's start looking at fixing it on the other. That would be my preference, because as you see in the memo, we're talking about something that brings in over $10,000 a month, so it's not chump change, it's something we can't just honestly go without. But I don't know when we do that, let's say when we look at the rate study and we do say, well, we're going to change the minimums based on meter size. I don't know, without looking at that very closely, what that's going to do to the individual homeowner, what that's going to do to the large business person. So that's why I think it's important we take a look at all of it at that time. We could certainly do a rate study sooner if that was the wishes of the council. Obviously, we don't have dollars budgeted for that, and then you would need to keep in mind the rate study and ordinances you've already passed on the water side, and how those two meld together. Which is why Sam and I propose doing a rate study a year from now, if the thing come into effect in 24, because that's what the existing rate study cycle.
Okay. Are there other entities in a similar situation like the trailer park of Kerwin?
Oh, yeah, yeah, there is like, 65 accounts, Angie, was that the number?
Yes.
In Sheldon that pay apartment water or pay apartment sewer?
Prairie Trail Village has expressed concern too, both on their current rates and the
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say Prairie Trail Village, for example, same boat, I mean, they pay, it's been a concern that they've addressed and, but their one-time fee, I think, is upwards of $800 a month.
It's an ordinance, the apartment water sewer ordinance has been in place for many, many, many years. Didn't just start yesterday.
Right.
What Sam's bringing, so what Sam's point about the wastewater plant was, as you recall, we doubled rates on wastewater, or just about doubled rates in a matter of 3 years. Part of that doubling was the apartment charge. So the apartment charge has been up substantially through rate increases.
Right.
I'm not saying incorrectly, I'm just saying that's what they've
Right.
done.
And that's what's coming to our attention now. And that's why we need to do due diligence on this, so that we understand what we don't know now.
Yeah.
Before we go into that. And I think that that's still a proactive response to the people who are asking us to look at it, and a responsible position for not only them, but for the city. So I agree with you, Todd. I think we need to wait and do the study so we understand what we know, and how we need to address that for all parties, so.
Correct, because if you do the knee-jerk right now, it may have a reaction on another entity that we're not even thinking about.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so that rate study, that was done with DGR, as I recall, the last one, is that right?
That is correct. And then, you know, if you remember last time we did them individually. We did the sewer rate study first. We did that to meet the needs of the wastewater plant and bonds associated with that.
Right.
And then we followed that up with a water study, and that's when we started enacting the declining block rate structure.
Right.
It would be my preference, and I think Sam and Angie would agree with this, or I know Sam and Angie would agree with this, that we do one rate study that encompasses both utilities at the same time.
It'd be good to know where we're gonna end up at on this inflationary
Mm-hmm.
path we're all on as well.
What is the cost of that, if I may ask?
Of issuing. I'd have to look back, I don't remember her one. $10,000, $15,000, something like that. It's a pretty in-depth,
Mm-hmm.
and don't quote me on that, I'd have to look
I
back.
think, yeah, it sounds right. I mean, you're in the ballpark. 'Cause, yeah, it's like any consultant fee that we, whether it's an architect or an engineer, come with
Right, but they
several
do take a
zeros.
very in-depth look at the rates of the,
Mhm.
and cash balances and projections and capital improvement plans and.
Right.
Do you, off the top of your head, know how many categories are there? There's residential, there's whatever.
Basically, on the sewer side, we have residential, and we only have, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, just the one industrial customer that pays the quarterly bill based on, so if you have high-strength wastewater, you have a different bill than everybody else. So for instance, AGP pays a bill, I'll just use them as an example, because of the amount of BOD suspended solids and everything that they put into the waste stream. They're much stronger waste than our normal use. So they have a different bill than what Kirkwood and County get. They have a different bill than what Berkshire Village gets. Because they're under an agreement because of the high strength that they have. But I think they're the only one.
Is there no commercial source?
But I don't know that any of those commercials are discharging any higher
No.
strength wastewater.
No,
So-
no.
so the rate
AGP is
structure-
the only one that gets that, yeah.
Right, so the rate structure for the commercials is the same for the residentials, it's the same bill, same calculation. We have treatment agreements with a few other in town. I don't need to name those off, but those treatment agreements are, they have some pre-treat on their end to remove oils, greases, those type things. And have agreed upon not giving us over a certain amount of those impurities in the waste stream.
All right. Anything else we need to do at this point?
No, I'd recommend approving first reading, and you can have more comments if you'd like at the next meeting. I would recommend at the next meeting you can then waive third if you
Okay,
would like.
so we'll take a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
All right, moving on then to the granting of an easement to Lewis and Clark Regional Water System. I'd like to open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone present that would like to address that matter? And have we had any written comments?
None.
Okay. Then I would take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
So the next item is a resolution to approve the easement with Lewis and Clark. Take a motion to approve that, please.
So moved. Or support. Either
Okay.
one.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
And then there's another resolution which would grant a temporary access license with Lewis and Clark. So we need a motion for that as well.
So move.
Support.
Questions on that? Roll call, please.
Hint,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Okay, moving on then to the report section of our meetings. Sam, we'll start with you. Is there anything you'd like to address?
I do not.
All right, Todd, anything else from you?
Just a reminder to everybody that last summer, we did enter a water watch. Which was voluntary restrictions. We never did get to a water warning where it was mandatory restrictions. The water department and I would just like to remind everybody that we are still under a water watch. We are sitting better today than what we were last summer, but if the forecast holds true, it's looking to be a warm, dry summer again. And so just a reminder that we are still under a water watch, and any voluntary conservation will benefit us all in the end. That's it.
All right, thank you. Kurt, anything from you?
No, thanks, Mayor.
All right. Scott, anything from you today?
No, thank you.
Angie?
nothing.
Council to my left.
I would just like to thank the police department and Officer Monike for the training they had. There was a lot of dogs in town, and that was impressive to see them all over town doing different things. I heard lots of good comments about it, so thanks for all your extra work.
Anybody else? Council to my right. Okay. The only thing I would like to address is, last week we had the very unfortunate incident of a fire, which takes on a whole nother level when there's a death. We haven't had a death from fire in many, many years. You know, Brad, if it had ever been determined how many years it's been?
We're still doing some research on it.
But, and Brad has said this many times about smoke alarms and such, making sure the batteries work, making sure you have a smoke alarm. Just a reminder again that, of the importance of that. Hopefully we can prevent any more deaths that happen like that. So with that, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hamel,
Aye.
Ham,
Aye.
Snyder,
All right.
Eggers,